channel.
The No Pressure channel presents the May event. The May event is where we have you guys, the voters, or the supporters, decide who would face off in what genre and what category. And on today's episode, we have a very particular special one for you guys. It's called a series match. I couldn't call it TV or streaming because it's kind of confusing. But the series match is where we base the characters solely on TV shows or, shows that are streaming on certain apps. To face off with one another. And on today's episode, we have two very impressive characters. We have Daryl from The Walking Dead. I think his name is Daryl Dix. I think if I'm remembering, I'm not sure if I'm saying it Dixon or something like that. I forgot his name, his last name. And then you also have Boba Fett from the Star Wars franchise. Few things. Rule number one: have fun, guys. My word is not guarantee. It's not bulletproof. It's not God, okay? It's just simply my argument being based here. You guys can feel free to leave it down in the comment section below if you guys agree or disagree with me. Just be respectful. Number two, you guys had to vote who would face off and what, and you guys had voted on the polls in TikTok for a past couple months, and these were the characters that you guys decided on. And lastly, we have to determine one winner. One person has to win this fight. It cannot be a tie. It cannot be based on who's going to win on what argument. It's just one winner. So let's talk about these characters' feats. In one corner, coming from the comics and show of The Walking Dead itself, none other than Daryl Dixon, the toughest man you'll meet. Right off the bat, he's survived for years in a zombie-infested world, and not just against them, but also starvation and being taken out by other human beings who went crazy after the world ended. We're talking about Beta, who got thrown down an elevator shaft from the high up and lived. Not to mention the man's size and skills made him a very worthy opponent. This group used skin masks to get by with the walkers, and he was one of the men that ended the group. Daryl has taken on law enforcement, crazed governors, and swarm of walkers. He has gotten himself out of crazy situations like falling into a hole with walkers in it and not in the best shape and limited by weapons, or the time he faced Alpha and almost died with blood blinding his eyes and a blade in his leg bleeding out and having walkers being thrown at him in his direction while this was happening. In the long game, Daryl can survive on his own in the forest with very little, and when it comes to people who he loves, he'll do whatever it takes to seek justice for them. The man has a variety of weapons such as a crossbow, his Rambo-looking knives, his motorcycle, his guard dog, and even a few grenades and bazookas to show you he means business. Without the weapons, Daryl has shown to be amazing at improvising using zombie corpses as weapons or even a boiling pot. He has beaten with his fist people like Rick, his brother Merle, and then some. In the other corner, from Star Wars universe, comes the legendary bounty hunter himself, Boba Fett. Boba Fett has hands down the best armor the galaxy has to offer, making laser blasts, fires, lightsabers, and so on appear weak when trying to do any real damage. The helmet contains 360 vision around it to spot any surprise attacks and a scope to aim and see targets from afar. He has flamethrowers, grappling hooks, laser beams, and mini rockets. Several bombs that can do several things. What he carries on him for weapons is also no laughing matter. He has a jetpack that provides him temporary flight, but also a rocket strapped on him in case he needs to take out a spaceship. Little missiles attached to his kneecaps, and we haven't even mentioned the blast he uses with such precision shots. Grappling hook to snatch a meal and then some. He is proven throughout the series how skilled of a fighter he was, shown defeating Cod Bane in a duel. The man got himself out of a giant space worm and make his way back to his own turf and his throne. Alright, to make this fight a little interesting between the two in the endgame, I'm going to set this fight in the realm of The Walking Dead, the walkers. The reason I'm saying that is because, well, let's be real. Daryl's going to need all the help he can get during a fight against Boba Fett. Between the two, Boba Fett clearly has a lot more protective gear, has a lot more superior firearms, and obviously is a lot more skilled considering he's a galaxy warrior or from across the universe, compared to Daryl, who's from down to earth, who's only learned the basic techniques of style when it comes to surviving, the basic essentials, and fighting throughout the years against walkers and other people. He's impressive though, don't sell him short there. He fought some pretty tough people and remember, he was left in like a hole or a pit and fought zombies then. He's been in one of those situations where he fought when he had to leave. I think her name was Beck. When he had to tell Beck to leave, he fought off a whole bunch of zombies in a house by himself. The guy proves time and time again he's hard to beat. He's also beaten a guy who was all suited up in some kind of protective gear, and he still beat that guy. Still shot a couple of those guys down. So, and remember when he fought, I think her name was Alpha, and he went on an all-out brawl. His eyes were blind and stuff. The guy proves time and time his determination is sheer will. He will survive against anyone. So in a fight in a Walking Dead walker environment, I do believe he has a better advantage against Boba Fett. I do believe he could use the walkers to his advantage, making Boba Fett a little harder for him to actually pinpoint and attack him completely. And he can also use everything else from his survival skills to kind of get him off guard. He can go up the trees. He can use he can find a rag and some alcohol and throw a fire at him. His suit is impressive, but imagine if there's fire being thrown around you or gasoline all over you. It doesn't matter whether or not you have an impressive suit. Heat is heat. It's still going to be hot and it's still going to burn through your face. You're not going to be wanting to wear your suit while there's fires all over you. So if Daryl manages to use some kind of gasoline and put it all over Boba Fett's armor, he could light him up, and then from that point, Boba Fett would have a hard time. So he might have to take the suit off, and then it might be just Daryl and Boba Fett one-on-one. Daryl was impressive, but it wouldn't be easy to beat Boba Fett, for sure. But Daryl would still have now more of an opening than he does now. He's exposed, so he can use his crossbow, he can use his blade, he can use an infinite amount of things. He can use a walker's body corpse to take him down either way, or he can use a walker. Either way, Daryl would have an advantage there. Now on the other end, Boba Fett's superior firearm, again, in his superior armor, makes him a lot more harder to beat. Plus, he's trained and very skilled. He was one of the best bounty hunters in the world. So, yeah, he's not going to be easy to be put down, even if his suit was taken off. And even with the suit on, he has a lot more going for him. He could probably blow up a bunch more of those walkers out of his way before Daryl could actually get a sneak attack off of him. So, Daryl, he would be put in a situation. Remember, he has that 360-degree Boba Fett helmet that can see everything from all optical ends. On top of that, he has that grappling hook. He could just grab Daryl by the leg and just drag his feet, or drop him down and have him get eaten by those walkers. So it would go against him instead of going to his favor. There's that possibility. But ultimately, who would win this fight? I'm going to give it to Boba Fett. Now you're probably thinking, no, you're probably not thinking, because clearly it seemed obvious. I wanted to make the case for Daryl. Clearly I did. But Daryl, without any real superior weapon, he has a rocket launcher. I mean, he could hit Boba Fett with the rocket launcher, but if he misses, or he doesn't get the proper aim, Boba Fett just has a lot more proper timing and precision and speed to his advantage. He's got those little rockets in his knees. He's got a lot of weapons around him. He's got that, I forgot what the name, Vaskar, I think, armor, which is impossible to penetrate by even lightsabers can't hit it. So I do think even with a rocket launcher being hit to him, it might do some damage to Boba Fett on the inside. But all in all, Boba Fett has proven time and time that he's one of the toughest warriors to put down. He fought one of the toughest bounty hunters in the galaxy. So yeah, Boba Fett wouldn't be easy to beat, and his weapon, his armor is much more superior. He still has that rocket launcher in the back of his jetpack. He can also fly. Everything going to his favor. So this year's series, or May Event 2023 series match, goes to Boba Fett. And as always, No Press fan, really appreciate you guys. Much love. Catch you guys later. Peace.